Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Three Man Weave Best Bets Show here on our wonderful YouTube channel. Someday we'll be on TV and we'll say live from our studio. But today it is from our homes. I'm your host today, Jim Roots, joined by Matt Cox, Kai McEwen, both from the city of Chicago. Fellas, this is when it really starts to get good in Champ Week. We got quarterfinals in some conferences today. Gets even better tomorrow. We got championship games all day Saturday. It's exciting. It's exciting stuff. Matt, what kind of takeaways did you have from yesterday? And I'm just going to lead you into Villanova almost had the worst bubble loss of all time and might have still had the worst bubble win of all time.
Yeah, that was my takeaway. DePaul, our demons, just kind of their season in a nutshell. The last possession, two possession sequence, um, the three, kind of crappy defense, if we're being honest about it, and then the turnover. Don't even get a shot off for the win. Like, at least give us
Yeah,
the
tough.
opportunity for heroics, but they fumble it away, and at least we got some raftery onions out of it. I guess that was the only silver lining there. But yeah, our demons kind of head into the offseason with the fitting yet sour note. Feels just proper, just right.
Yeah, well, yeah, darn it DePaul, darn it Mizzou. Both teams blew leads late to pull off their first conference win of the season, and both finish over. Sad for our Tigers, Jim. That's okay. That's okay. Hey, Montana State did it. Wow, how about that? Third straight tournament
Steamrolled.
for Montana State. Unbelievable. Without Danny Sprinkle, no problem.
Fade, fade,
Fade.
fade.
Fade in the tournament, absolutely. There'll be a 16. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure. Gosh, at this point, I mean, there's a lot of 16s out there. We'll say that. Someone's got to
that's
be a
true.
15. Colgate, congrats. McNeese, congrats. And that's all I got for the intro. I see Matt has left the program. Good,
Yeah, good.
good.
Happy to see that. Yeah, Colgate and McNeese, leave no doubt. That's what they did. Very impressive stuff. How about Cal losing 42 to 13, the
Sucks.
final 13 minutes of regulation in OT? That was ridiculous. 42 to 13. They were up 18 and got stomped in overtime. Outrageous. All right, folks, the theme of the outline today is bubble battles. Top half is all teams, at least in the general vicinity of the bubble. And we'll get into chat mob and we'll talk a little bit more bubble stuff, but it's not head to head bubble. We've got some loser leaves town games, possibly win and in games. We're going to start without Matthias while he is off gallivanting somewhere in his kitchen, I assume. And
Didn't even
first
tell us,
off,
Jim. Just left.
nope, just
We're gonna
just
assume he
peaced
has to
out.
poop.
Yeah, I think that's a good assumption here. Wake Forest and Pitt, Kai. That's where we're going. Probably closer to a loser leaves town, an elimination type of game here. Either one would certainly do well with a win over UNC in the semifinals. Wake Forest laying two, middle-ish total 145. Any thoughts for you here? This is in DC, where the ACC tournament is.
Yeah, winner goes home indeed, Jim. Wake might be close to end right now with 20 wins. I don't know. I got to rerun my bracketology a bit. Pitt's darn close too. I think they have a pretty strong case if they get a win. I don't think the committee is going to put only three teams in. Virginia would be number 4. We'll talk about Virginia, I'm sure, at some point today. They split the series, these two teams. Wake, though, remember the second matchup, 91 to 58. Absolutely shattered Pitt.
Forgot
Will
about
they
that.
do it again? Can they do it again? My gut here does say Wake. Matthew, also welcome back. Pitt can't really bully them.
Good to be back.
Pitt can't really bully them like they can certain other teams. Wake defends the 3 really well, important against Pitt. And I just like Wake's guards a smidge better. No offense to the wonderful freshman guards on Pitt. Wake's guards I like a little bit better. Blake Hinson is a really tough matchup for them, though. That is the one caveat, of course.
Yeah, there's one of the few spots where you have the team with the day off with the rest versus the team that just played back to back, but that team's actually favored. We talked about how they could set up here with had Clemson won the other part of the bracket. We could have had 2 of these here, but very unique situation. I think I agree with the number. I think Wake should be favored, but I'm not in any hurry to back them today. Again, I just think the fact that we've seen these spots with the rest play pretty well, as obvious as they are, it's sort of like the unranked favorite where it's like a trend that we want to lose, but has actually been effective
Question: do you
recently.
know, are they
Yes.
playing well this conference tournament?
Yes, they are.
They
I
are?
believe they were 10. Well, I need to get, I guess the parameters can move the needle, but basically, if you just isolate those yesterday, I think they're like 10 and 6. So they're pretty good.
Okay, small sample size. Let's not overreact here, Matthias.
Like we
Let's
saw
not go
some other
crazy.
teams make runs. I'm like thinking off the top of my head.
No,
Like
I agree. And there were some dogs like that, like St. Bonaventure, one that sort of was in that same spot, let they'll all come back. So yeah, it's all case by case. But as some have pointed out, it's a very good predictor of line movement, and we're always about getting the best value. So just
That's for sure. People are definitely hammering the teams resting for sure. Yes.
Yes. It's interesting, but when we get to the Big 12 game, like every Big 12 bye is getting hammered except BYU got bet against Texas Tech, which I thought was rather interesting. Again, we will discuss that later. Matt, trip to the bathroom, successful? Y'all good? Cleaned
No,
out?
George got loose. I think he needed a trip to the bathroom. I was
Okay.
assuming he would, but then he didn't. It was sort of a nothing burger bell ring by him.
He
A lot of
got
drama
loose.
this morning at 435 household.
I'm kind of with Kai. This one feels a little like TCU Oklahoma to me yesterday, where I just don't really have a strong sense. Neither team I'm in a rush to get on the side of. Pitt's been better away from home than Wake Forest has. Obviously, Wake got the win yesterday, but I think they're benefiting from Notre Dame coming back down to earth. They had that incredible shooting day against Georgia Tech. Did not shoot quite as well yesterday. I'm staying away. I'm sitting that one out. I'd be happy with either team getting into the big dance, but I do think either one, the winner would need a win over UNC. All right, next up to the Big East, Madison Square Garden. Seton Hall versus St. John's. Matthias, Rick Pitino versus Shaheen Holloway. Johnny's were 4.5-point favorites, come down a little bit, down to 4. I thought it was too high. Seton Hall has won both matchups, kind of not handily, but pretty impressively. I think it's a difficult guard for St. John's with Richmond off the bounce and Dre Davis off the bounce. What say you here? Johnny's -4 in the Garden, 141 total.
Slight lean toward the Johnny. I think it's too high to lay it. I think they win this game, but I feel like you're hoping to catch like 2. I'm not sure if I want to back 4. I think the matchup, the nuances sort of point towards Seton Hall. I think with just the wings they have, and the size they have up front for sure. I mean, Bediako, like quietly one of the best transfer pickups of the offseason. Just a great get and a necessary counter for Joel Soriano up front, Mr. McKeon. I kind of like the under. This got bet down as well. All 3 Big East games went under in the Garden. I thought the Garden was like a shooter's paradise. It feels like all the stars go there and they score 50 or 60 in the NBA, but it's been an under vendor the last couple of years for the Big East tournament, Kai. I'm not sure why. Maybe they switch out the rims. I don't know. I love a good venue speculation, but that's all I have here.
Yeah, both teams right now, I guess you would probably call them on the right side of the bubble, but it's close. I think a win here clinches it for either team. A loss doesn't spell doom, but it will be like nip tuck, committee, it's in your hands type of thing. Seton Hall did sweep St. John's. They beat them by 15, they beat them by 6. Game 1, 57% of their offensive rebounds, of their misses went to Seton Hall, 21 offensive rebounds. St. John's locked that down in the second game. 11 offensive rebounds allowed, just 28%. Hey, something to improve upon. Great. Soriano cannot get out of position. The glass battle is obviously huge. The Johnnies need to dig on the bigs, pressure the non-Kaderi guards, force turnovers. That's their path. Both teams have really good length. Should be a pretty good battle. I think Seton Hall +4, Jim, is much preferable to the alternative here. St. John's -4. I do not think these teams are that far apart. I don't really consider this game a home game either. I know that's probably a little bit part of the line as St. John's is playing in Madison Square Garden. I think that's incorrect. So I would lean towards Seton Hall here at 4.
Yeah, I'm with you. Just a little too high. I don't think it's a great matchup for St. John's. I think it's very close to a toss-up. I don't buy the tough to beat a team 3 times narrative because it's just a good matchup for them. Like Richmond off the bounce, the backcourt defenders for St. John's are not great. It's part of the lateral issues. Dre Davis also has that advantage against St. John's wings. That's the stuff that Pitino has been talking about, and he's been trying to mask and cover up, and they've gotten a little better at it with some of the scheme adjustments that they made, but still, I think it can be exposed a little bit here. So yeah, definitely lean towards the dog in that one. Now out west we go to the Mountain Showdown, Utah and Colorado. Matt, these teams closed a little differently down the stretch. Colorado swept the Oregon trip. Utah got swept in the Oregon trip. That has put the Buffaloes in better position to get in the dance. Utah did take care of business against Arizona State last night. They are getting 4 points today. Potentially still banged up Brandon Carlson. He did play yesterday and start, but that's at least something to monitor with this matchup.
Yeah, huge for Colorado to at least get the bye. Cody Williams is not officially playing today. I don't have the official update there, but just all season, the Buffs have been quietly, well, not so quietly, just outwardly ravaged with injuries. If he plays today, that's pretty huge. I think he's been pretty important defensively, and just for a team that doesn't have a ton of depth, I think he's a pretty key piece here, especially in a matchup where he should be able to have some advantages. I think Utah's wings, it's probably their weak part of their roster construct at this point. But yeah, Carlson, Kai, like if he's not 100% playing back to back, that's pretty huge. I mean, I'm just kind of off my radar that he was not going to be that he was going to maybe be on the mend in this tournament here. So huge game for both teams, obviously. But I do like Colorado just for the day off, but I'm not going to play it because of the whole Cody Williams uncertainty.
Yeah, Utah losing that Oregon trip, that kind of cost them a bit. They have an uphill battle. They need a win here for sure. Colorado, like Jim mentioned, they look safer by the day, man. I think a win here does clinch it for them to make the tournament, and they might be there anyways because of their injury history. They've had guys in and out of the lineup. If the committee noticed that Jason Kent was out for Indiana State, they're going to notice that guys were out for Colorado basically all season. So I think Colorado is looking pretty good there. These teams split at home, obviously. I agree with you guys. Carlson is pretty key. I do think he's going to play, but yeah, to what degree is he healthy? Who knows? Obviously, Colorado's playing better basketball, and we thought this team could be really good coming into the year. I tend to think that can continue, that level of play. But like the other game, Jim, I have trouble laying 4 here. It's not as strong on the dog, but would have a slightly into Utah at +4 if Carlson does indeed play.
I think I lean Colorado a little bit. They just proven a little bit more away from home. Like Utah's been very, very good at home, but you take them out of there and it's tougher. Like the only big road win they got was at UCLA at the very, very buzzer. And beating up on Arizona State after a starter, Jose Perez, just up and left the team, I think is maybe more indicative of how badly Arizona State was circling the drain more than like Utah figuring it out without Worcester. So I am leaning towards Colorado there, but again, don't really want to lay 4. These bubble battles are tough, man. A lot of motivation angles on both sides, and the matchup edges are thin, razor thin. All right, last one before Chat Mob. Surprising to have both these two teams in the bubble picture, Ohio State and Iowa. Boy, Kai, Ohio State has really vaulted themselves back in the picture under Jake Diebler. It just seems like a refreshed mindset. They don't feel like they're going to collapse every time down the stretch. They kind of were like echoing Mizzou in that sort of like final 5-10 minutes of going down the drain. But now they are favored against Iowa on a neutral floor here. Ohio State -2, high total-ish for a conference tournament game, 152.5. That's typical of Iowa. What are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, it is wild. These guys are both in the conversation. Outside looking in, they both have chances. They both need to win. A loss puts a nail in the coffin, of course. Iowa won the only matchup this season. It was at home. They only won by 2. Ohio State, impressive. They kept it close the entire way. It's a tough place to play, as we know. Their defense, Ohio State's defense, has improved lately. It seems like it, whereas Iowa, as we know, is still pretty piss poor. They can't rebound. They don't force turnovers. They're a sieve inside. They foul a lot. I think that's working against them here, and it's not like this is Iowa's potent offense of years past. It's still a good Iowa offense, but it isn't best offense in the Big Ten level as we've seen from them in the past. I lean towards Ohio State here, Matt. Fran is a gremlin, and he knows how to get to the dance, but I'm leaning towards Ohio State.
I think I agree. I mean, Iowa's been playing better. I think we kind of talked about how they've been one of the few Big Ten teams, along with Indiana, we'll talk about probably later as well, that kind of quietly, okay, maybe this is a team we should take seriously. And what's a very, very wide open format here. None of the top seeds really terrify you other than Purdue, obviously, but that's a long way down the road in this bracket. I actually like the under, Jim. I'm kind of an Undertaker guy today. Fran McCaffrey has a really, really strong record to the under in conference tournaments. Could be completely circumstantial. My theory is that he actually subdues to the nip and tuck, do or die Big Ten brawls that usually encapsulate the other opponents in this format. And you're always getting like a 150 plus total when Iowa takes the floor. So been bet down as is usually the case with these conference tournament games, but I think 153 is still worth an underlook.
Yeah, 6.5 points below the KenPom total right now.
Yeah,
159 and KenPom 152.5. I mean, we've seen some weird, just almost like they're not even looking at KenPom anymore. That Rutgers Maryland done yesterday really confused me. Game landed like 114 or whatever it did. So I don't know. Some people think they know things, and we sort of think we know things too, but we don't always. I lean Ohio State. I think they get that job done. They have been much, much better. I've always thought the roster was talented. Coming into the year, I thought it was like a top 30 team. Iowa, not as much. So I think they continue that ascendance towards the big dance, get that win there. I know it's kind of a lot of people's future darling for this tournament that Ohio State could go on a big run. I think that starts today. Buckeyes -2, very close to a best bet for me. All right, Kai, we are into Chat Mob now. Folks, make sure you hit that thumbs up. Quick tap that like button. real easy, and we appreciate it. Kai, what kind of questions we have flowing in?
All right, guys, let's start off with some action. Toledo and Kent State. That's right. Kent State is an 8 seed. You've been not paying attention at home. Kent State had a pretty rough year this year. Toledo -5.5 first round. Jim, who you got?
They just played, and Toledo won by 15, and I'm getting echoes of Middle Tennessee, Louisiana Tech last night. The 1 seed and the 8 seed just played. Louisiana Tech had won by 14. Middle Tennessee hung around, stayed close. I think I lean towards the dog here, Matt, despite no presence of Chris Payton. Actually, no, not deferring to Matt. It's a chat mob question. I like the dog. I think they kind of revert the previous blowout.
I'm with you, though, Jim. I'm happy to slam dunk that in your favor. I agree. I love my Rocket Ships. I just think the number's too high here. And Kent State's certainly a team that has a ton of slingshot to the upside. Even without Payton, he really has. I mean, I know he's important. He's been really good. He has not been that good this year. I think he's been playing hurt a little bit. They have, they got Hornbeak back. I think they can mix and match without him.
More concerning, Reggie Bass out last game.
And Bass too, yeah.
Maybe he's back for a tournament. It could have been a rest. We'll see. I don't know his status.
I jinxed Chris Payton. I'm sorry, Chris Payton. I overhyped you and I ruined your sophomore breakout.
Okay, Matt, you get a Big 12 matchup. Not on the outline. The Clones are playing Kansas State. Yep, Jerome Tang took care of Rodney Terry. Who would have guessed that? That should have been an easy one. He didn't even need overtime. It wouldn't have mattered. He would have won in overtime. Iowa State, Matt, laying 7.5. Too high? Too low? Thoughts?
It's too high now. Yeah, I do like Iowa State quite a bit here, though. I just don't know if I want to justify or endorse laying 7.5, 8, open 6. This one, Houston, we'll talk. Yeah, up to 11 there. Jim mentioned the Big 12 spots all got hit pretty hard today, except for BYU.
Yeah, so another one they just played, like this was Iowa State's last game, was losing at the Octagon. So perhaps a little slingshot the other way.
Excellent point.
Couple questions. I'll take this one. Richmond and St. Joe's. Richmond's laying 3.5, 4. Key here, St. Joe's, Eric Reynolds got hurt last game. I don't know if he's playing today. He is their best player. He's first team all conference. If he's announced out, this line is going to keep climbing. So if you are a gambling man and you want to take that chance, I would take Richmond now. However, I think St. Joe's, if he's in, wins this game. I think they have the highest ceiling of any team in the A-10 outside of Dayton. With their guards, they're incredible. Even without Reynolds, I think they can hang around. Just saying the market is going to go towards Richmond once Eric Reynolds is announced out, if he's announced out. So,
yeah,
food for thought.
Per Jeff Nyberg of the Philly Inquirer, he's not with the team an hour and a half before the game on the court, but that's still a long ways before he could be getting treatment. I wouldn't automatically assume he's out based on that.
Yep. Okay, several questions. Well, mainly David, who keeps putting it in there, but that's okay. We're going to cover it. Stanford, Wazoo, Washington State, Jim, laying 7.5 against Stanford, who you mentioned at the top of the show. Miraculous comeback against Cal yesterday. Do they have more fight in them?
I think Wazoo takes care of business here. I think they win by 10 plus, covers. Stanford just coming off an insane miracle against their arch rival. They were down 18 in that game. I think that's a little more indicative of the future here. They got a ton of free throws yesterday. Wazoo shouldn't foul quite that much, and they can fully match the size. Like that's Stanford's big thing is, they're big both inside and on the wing, and Wazoo can handle that. So I like Kyle Smith's squad there, but also not feel good about betting Haas against Smith right now.
Matthew, you get Conference USA. Apparently, Ras has taken UTEP. It's down to 3.5 against Liberty. Your thoughts?
Ooh, I like Liberty.
I like Liberty too.
Today. So, Maddie versus Ras. Let's go to war here. Yeah, I think Liberty's just a prime team who we saw play really, really well in spurts during the non-conference. I think the lack of size hurt them in some matchups in this league. Like they just really aren't that big. They play very shell and compact. Some of the matchups I think got them, as well as some of the weird travel, which also hurt UTEP. Every team that was on the road in this league really struggled in tough spots. I like Liberty. I just trust this team more, Jim. Plain simple. UTEP's just not a smart team. They don't do well in endgame situations. I think this game's going to be close, and Liberty's going to have the edge in that spot.
Yeah, UTEP just went to Liberty and whomped them, but I'm not terribly worried about that.
All right,
Iowa State, Liberty, similar angle. I like that, Jim. Yes.
From Pat and a few others, VCU and UMass. I'll say this: UMass has proven to be a horrible matchup for VCU this season. They've really not had a problem with them either times. VCU's favored. I kind of think VCU is going to get it done. That's gut. I've been against UMass all year. Grain of salt on that one. Okay, Jim, you get Big Ten action from Gray, Michigan State, and Minnesota. 6.5 points, Michigan State's laying. I think that's a little bit high, but what do you think?
I don't trust either team at all right now. And that's crazy to say about Minnesota because they've been such an ATS darling, but they were not great down the final stretch of the year. Not awesome rumors about, Dawson Garcia potentially like already folding his name in the portal. And I don't get great vibes from that. But Michigan State, I mean, they've got like a leadership crisis. It seems like the fans are rebelling against Hogard. They have no center position at all, despite rotating 4 guys there. None of them are good. I have no opinion here, Kai. I gotta stay away from that one.
Kai's on mute. Kai.
We lost him. We lost Kai.
We
We
lost
don't have
him.
audio. That's trouble in paradise here.
I think I can read Lipschim. I think he was asking about New Mexico versus Boise. Do you want to talk about my Lobos versus the Buck and
Go for it.
Brox? I think New Mexico wins. I think they're back.
Wow,
One
I
game
don't-
already sold. One game.
This is an
they're back.
interesting one because Boise swept them, but the first one was like fluke Max Rice performance where he bombed away from deep.
Yeah.
And then second was just back at home in Exact Tech Arena. So hopefully we get Kai back here. We'll see.
Yeah, well, that one's on the outline. That's why I just wanted to throw another loop in Kai's already tangled web of situation. I know. I'm sorry.
I wish you wouldn't do that. I really wish you wouldn't do that.
I know.
I don't like it. I like actually don't like it.
I know you don't. It really bothers you both. All right. Should we just go back to the rundown here? I can man temporary host while Kai asserts
I'm
himself.
host. I'm host. Well,
Okay.
maybe you might
I can
need
be temporary
to
czar. I can
rally
czar
some
for
czar
sure.
questions. Yeah, exactly.
I just
All
go
right,
join
next-
the chat mob somewhere else.
Matt,
Go.
back to the outline here. We've got Villanova and Marquette from the Big East tournament. Call me crazy. I like Villanova today. I know they played like absolute dump yesterday. They were horrible. They let DePaul, a 23-point underdog or 24-point underdog, stick around all game. They probably should have lost, but that's what Villanova's done all year. They lose games they shouldn't. They play poorly. They play down to their competition, but then they can also play up, get some huge wins. Look at them, their neutral site performance down in the Bahamas. They were terrific. I think you see a veteran team with a much more locked in effort here. Hopefully they just start ignoring their coach and playing basketball instead. And Marquette without Kolek, I just think it's gonna catch up with them a little bit with him sitting out and potentially out the entire Big East tournament. 4.5, not a great number. I would have liked 5.5, a little higher than that. 5, kind of your key number. I know you love to call it that, Mr. Matthias, but I'm a Villanova lean here, as crazy as that might be.
I had that thought, Jim, and then I just reverted back to Villanova is not that good, and I think that same version that showed up yesterday shows up today. And Marquette, I think without Kolek, is going to play some inspired ball. I like this Marquette team. I mean, Kolek obviously is a difference maker, but I still think against the Nova team, I don't trust. I mean, the execution with Nova has just been bad. It really has been. Like the shot selection, the shots they get in key moments. I just think Neptune's so lucky to have the personnel he has that can bail him out in so many kind of misfunctional situations. I took Marquette. I just felt it's a little short, even without Kolek, Jim.
Can you hear me?
And the moment we've all been waiting for is Kai back.
Can you hear me? Test.
I
He's
still
not
don't
back.
hear him. What the
He's
hell's
not
going
back.
on? This is
I hope it's an
I-
AirPod
I-
thing where, like,
I-
because we're big boys and have AirPods, that Kai's
Good now?
capturing all the audio.
Oh, I
he's
hear him.
back.
Yeah. I think I'm back on the video too. Our mixer just died, so that's really bad for our live shows in Circa. I don't know what happened.
Oh my
It's
god.
totally dead. So great.
Mm,
So,
All right. Well,
So where
we're
are
gonna
we?
have to troubleshoot that after. Yeah, we were in Villanova Marquette. Kai, do you have takes on Villanova after they took a big dump last night?
Eileen Nova.
So do I. Okay.
Yeah, their metrics took a huge hit from DePaul. They went from 29 to 35 in Kimpom. No Kolek, you guys mentioned most likely. I didn't hear you, but Nova can handle the ball. That's key against Marquette. They can also shoot the three. Marquette, not great at defending the arc. So Villanova is the way I lean there.
Okay. Yep. Villanova. Maybe even Jim kind of likes money line there. Maybe I'm crazy. All right. Now, BYU Texas Tech. We mentioned this one earlier as kind of a strange rogue line in the Big 12 and really throughout the slate today, where the team that played yesterday is actually taking money against the team that sat out. BYU now up to -3. Matt, I'll go to you first. What Kai kind of gets reshoveled over there, as our chats are too. BYU laying 3 against Texas Tech. Do the Cougars, the very, very deep Cougars, do they continue rolling here?
Yeah, I think their depth's a good counter to the momentum that has been consistently shifting in the favor of the team with the rest advantage. Texas Tech also, not deep themselves. McCaslin gave the update on Ward Washington yesterday. It sounds very ominous that even if he does play, it won't be like a 100% full go. He was like they're hoping to get him back for the tournament pretty confidently, and it's sort of bleeded into I don't know. We'll see day by day. He's so important to this team. He's really important against BYU, who has multiple bigs that can they can run offense through from the top of the key with Khalifa and how he's throwing dimes, or they can go inside to Foose. I keep saying Foose Traore. So I kind of agree with the money here, Kai. I'm not going to lay BYU -3 because the spot's been pretty strong the other way, but I understand that why this is the only zig against the zag trend that we've seen in the betting market.
Yeah, BYU's good, just plain and simple. They're sprinting up the S curve in the bracket. Texas Tech, we know, is well coached. They have a solid resume. They won the first meeting, the only meeting this season at home. You guys realize Texas Tech's offense is somehow better than BYU's in league play? That's surprising to me.
Baffling.
Yeah, on the surface. They just don't make mistakes. They make their free throws. They shoot very well, which is funny given their two primary ball handlers are both shooting 30% from deep this season, Isaacs and Toussaint. But yet they're still a very good shooting team. Supporting cast has been great. We know Pop can take over. Efficiency over right now, both teams on the total. The pace isn't going to be there, but the efficiency might. My gut is BYU here. Finishing ability inside, you guys mentioned, if Washington's still on the shelf, it's a big advantage.
Yeah, they need him in there. I mean, BYU pulls him away when Khalifa's on the floor, and they play that 5 out, and he's just dropping dimes on back cuts and skip passes and all that. You can't fall asleep at all on defense when he's out there. And if Washington's in, then the Traore lineup, BYU's basically two different teams when Khalifa's in and when Traore's in. When Traore's in, they're playing around 4 in, 1 out, or 4 out, 1 in with a post guy. Washington's very important for that version of it. Also, shout out Mike Zhang with the donation for a new mixer, Kai. Specifically, stat memo line of new mixer.
I hope
we'll
shock
have a
it back
fun
to
adventure.
Somehow, but I don't know.
Yeah,
so far,
this is clear. Yeah, defibrillator style. Yeah, I like BYU actually. I'm not going to best bet it either, but I kind of agree with the money. Texas Tech, I just haven't gotten awesome vibes with them because I thought the team would be better defensively, but unfortunately, not the case down the stretch, especially without Washington. All right, Matt, we did a little New Mexico versus Boise State discussion in the chat because you hate the outline with vicious vitriol. Kai, this is a pick'em right now. Boise State won the first 2 matchups this season. Max Rice went nuts in Albuquerque. High total, 153.5, but that's a New Mexico game for you. No surprise there. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, New Mexico needs this game to go to the dance. Boise's safe, has a great resume. Boise beat them both times, 10-8. Seems like they kind of had their number. They have the best offense in the league, best offensive rebounding team, best free throw shooting team. Stanley and Dagenhart, monsters, matchup nightmares. Rice apparently can go for 30 anytime. Agbo is incredibly underrated. It's a really good team. It's a really, really good team. But New Mexico has those game breaker guards, man. House, Dent, Mashburn. These guys can all score, can all create. Certainly they're more dynamic than Boise, but it's one shot attempt, and that's it. You're not getting more against Boise. They are the best rebounding team both ends of the floor. It's a really, really solid basketball team. However, Jim, I am leaning ever so slightly to New Mexico, going with the dynamic guards with their backs against the wall. So lean towards the Lobos ever so slightly.
And Matt, you are a Lobo man today, you already said?
I'm loco for Lobo. Yeah, Kai said that basically I think they're back. It took me one game to convince me that they're all the way back. They're probably not, but I do feel like I wonder if there was some just complacency down the stretch. Like they just didn't realize they actually need to win those games. Now they feel like it's true do or die, and the talent's starting to play up. I don't like some of the rumors that there's already some transfer intentions. I think as Donovan Dent's name's been floated out there, which makes total sense. If I'm Donovan Dent, I'd like to get out of the backcourt of Jalen House and Jamal Mashburn. I'm sorry. I just feel like
those guys won't be there next year. So
yeah, that's and they have good NIL money. Anyway, I like New Mexico today for all the 7 reasons I just mentioned. But the price isn't ideal. I will say that. I feel like you'd like to be catching 3 at least, just because how good Boise's been.
I'll hang out on Tropical Island, Boise. Solo Jim on the Boise Broncos Island here. I just think it's a tough matchup for them. The versatile, multiple front court pieces. JT Toppin can only guard one of them. You probably need a Max Rice shooting game again because that perimeter is a little weaker. Roddy Anderson, even down the stretch, just hasn't figured it out at point guard for Boise. But I'm going with them. I think they can keep New Mexico out of the lane, forced him to go over the top. Boise for me. And fellas, breaking news from the Field of 68. DePaul has focused its coaching search on former Ohio State coach Chris Holtmann.
Let's
On the
go.
field. Nothing
great
nothing
hire.
finalized yet, but signs are there. Rice also fired Scott Pira, which we discussed was pretty necessary after yesterday. If you're Chris Holtmann, why? Don't coach DePaul. Go collect your $15 million buyout and hang out on a beach. That's what I say. That is my memo, but oh well. Guy wants to coach. All right, last game on the outline. Cincinnati blew out Kansas yesterday. Matthew, we don't feel bad for the Jayhawks. They're going to be fine if they get healthy. But man, they looked rough in like the final 10 minutes. Cincinnati just rolled over them. The Bearcats now taking on Baylor, and the Bears have taken money. Cincinnati playing their third game in 3 days. Baylor off the double bye. They have not played yet in this tournament, so it sort of makes sense from that angle. Cincinnati actually held us to a kind of a rock fight in the first game. Baylor only 62 points in Waco. Shocking there. Are they able to do that again here? Keep this game in the half court, make it a physical grind, overtake Baylor in the paint. What are your thoughts?
I kind of think so. It's why I don't like laying the number with Baylor, even though I do like the spot for Baylor, and I just like Baylor at large. We'll see if Cincinnati has any juice left today. But this year, Kai, on the season, Baylor as a favorite is 14-5 against the number. That kind of shocked me. Didn't really line up with my anecdotal perception that this team is maybe better as a dog. The lack of depth would maybe work against them as a favorite. But we have mentioned, at least I have, Langston Love back. I think he's so important. Played well in that last game, the regular season against Texas Tech. Only 22 minutes, but I just think he's such an important piece, like just a veteran two-way asset for a team that lacks depth. I like Baylor. I don't like that the number. Kind of a recurring theme, doing the show at 9 a.m. when you see all the early money kind of picking off the good spots, so to speak. 6.5 is too much for me to lay.
Yeah, good run by Cincy. Comes to an end here. This Baylor team's for real. I think they're going to win the Big 12 tournament. Cincy did play them really close in Waco. 3-point game. Impressive. Just Baylor's offense is so good. The emergence of Misi has been so key. He's been incredible. Dennis has been impressive. Walter's a star. Cincy's edge is usually on the glass. It's not really an edge against Baylor, a team that can kind of compete right there with them. And Cincinnati's shooting, it just keeps getting me. I know they beat Kansas, obviously shorthanded, but it's the worst shooting team in the league. I like the guards. I like the physical toughness. I just think Baylor has too much of a talent gap here. So I agree 6.5 is way too high. I'm not going to lay it, but I think Baylor gets the win today.
Yeah, Kai, Day Thomas is 9 for 15 in this tournament, which lifts him to 28% for the year from 3.
A little bit out of there.
After 9 for 15.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I expected him to go like 0 for 8 yesterday. Maybe the 0 for 8 is coming today. I sort of like the under here. I think Baylor is not a team that's run a lot this year, and maybe that's smart to do against a team on their third game in 3 days. But Cincinnati is definitely going to want to play more of a rock fight in the paint, slow it down, try to take advantage of their size, especially at the 4 spot, be a little physical with Jalen Bridges. Lean to Cincinnati, but the spot scares me off, but I do like the under quite a bit there. All right, Kai, we are back to Chat Mob. Hopefully everything has recovered, settled down for you over there after the mixer rose up and attacked and had a robotic uprising against us here. What do we got?
So fill me in. Did you guys only do Matt's incorrect New Mexico Boise thing?
Yeah, that was the last one we hit. Like after we lost you, we just lost all rudder in the Chat Mob section and gave up.
Perfect. And we'll start off with St. Bonaventure and Loyola. I personally like St. Bonaventure here at +3. That's the way I'm going with it. Anybody can speak up if they feel differently.
I think historically the bye teams have been really strong in the A10, but I like the Bonnies too, Kai.
Yeah, I did. Last year they all murked. Like Richmond, UMass, Loyola, Dayton, same teams, same spots last year. They weren't the same teams, but they all won pretty handily. Doesn't mean anything, probably. So don't use that as a precedent. I think it's 4 games, not a big sample.
Yeah.
Still, I like Loyola. I think they're a tough team to prep for on a 1-day turnaround. A lot of complex action. Just a very seismic shift stylistically to go from who you play day before to the blurs and all their stuff they run.
A10 being a lot deeper this year maybe is a big difference. Last year pretty top heavy, like the teams.
Yeah, stretched out a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, how about this one? A whack question, Matthew. Stephen F. Austin, only +2 against UT Arlington. Thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it's funny. It felt low, and then I was like, I looked at my numbers, and of course, it felt right because I think we have SFA rated very highly, and they're starting to play at that level recently with Kajusti back off the huge buzzer beater last night. I like UTA, Jim. I did lay with the Mavs. I think they're quietly the hottest team in this league, not named Tarleton.
I would have really liked SFA here if last night didn't come down to like crazy bananas emotional late night buzzer beater.
Against a
I still
rival,
like them.
yeah,
I think
ACU.
they're better. I think they're better than Arlington. So I would have them favored if I made a line. The only thing that's keeping me from going best bet is the crazy ending, and Abilene can kind of wear you down with physicality and pressure. So perhaps that is an issue. I mean, 70 possession game yesterday, 117 points. Like that's just sloppy, gross basketball, and those two get together. All right, Kai, what's next?
All right, several guys are asking about Nevada and Colorado State. Nevada's a 2.5-point favorite. Jim, any lean one way or the other?
Really like Nevada. Colorado State is 0-5 against the spread their last 5 games. They have not looked good down the stretch. And Nevada won at Colorado State without Keenan Blackshear. They were just too big. They really gave Colorado State problems, especially on the wing. Jared Lucas, like they couldn't handle him coming off screens and stuff. That was an issue for him too. I know it took a Lucas half quarter to win, but they also should have won when he made free throws as a 90%er. I like Nevada there with Colorado State coming off a game yesterday.
Matthew, SEC action. Ole Miss, Texas A&M, the Aggies are laying 4.5, fighting for their tournament lives. If they lose, probably out. If they win, I think they're in. Thoughts?
Easiest stay away on the board for me. I don't trust either team at all, especially A&M laying points. No, I can't get there. I know Ole Miss has been pretty bad outside of their home gym too, but very easy stay away pass for me.
Didn't
Sorry,
A&M just beat them by like 35 or something? Like absolutely slaughtered them.
I'm a little surprised at this spread, Jim, from Space Ace. TCU Houston. I love Houston. 11.5. 11. Wow, that's big.
Yeah, that's steep. I mean, Houston definitely is going to be more of a fade as they go in the tournament because the bench is largely non-existent. Now they've had some injuries.
Right.
TCU did play yesterday and have not really been that good, but they mostly took care of business against Oklahoma. It wasn't like a crazy kind of war. They were up 15-20 like the entire second half. Final score is not indicative of what that game was. So I lean TCU too, Kai. I think they can play that physical game with Houston.
All right, Matt, a couple questions here. Arizona, USC. We know the Trojans beat the Wildcats not too long ago, and yet Arizona is laying 8.5, 9 points today. Thoughts?
Yeah, fascinating tug of war in the market between the team that's on the rest advantage with Arizona versus the market admiration for USC in their current form, and they have been really good lately. Although I will say yesterday, the first 25 minutes weren't all that good, but they got the job done. This is why I don't think you've seen the line bet up Arizona's way. I think there's just a pretty strong market affinity for USC. I'm with that contingent. I just need more than 9 against Arizona, especially with the revenge angle, as I'm sure Jim we'll mention here from last week.
No, yeah, they just lost to them, and USC controlled that game. But I would like double digits with USC. I'm surprised that is a lower line than Houston TCU.
People love USC right now, man.
Yeah.
Everyone's chirping about USC. San Diego State minus 4.5 against UNLV. Thoughts, Jim, on your Rebels?
Yeah, no Caleb Boone for this one for UNLV. I think that really hurts when you're trying to slow down Jaden Ledee inside. Another very recent revenge game here. San Diego State couldn't quite get it done at UNLV recently. This is less of a road game because I think the crowd will be a lot more mixed for the tournament. Sort of like San Diego State, but UNLV's been so good against the top of this league that I'm not willing to bet it.
Matthew, SEC, once again, you're the SEC guy, apparently.
Good.
South Carolina, Arkansas. Do the Gamecocks take care of business against the limping Razorbacks? 5.5 point spread.
It does feel like Arkansas, off that really kind of ugly OT win yesterday against Vandy, is poised for a little bit of a run here. And I think they got a pretty good draw with South Carolina, just a team that can play low possessions and, in a high variance game. They're not going to run them to death coming off the back-to-back, I guess. It's surprising that South Carolina did not take money. Again, one of these spots that usually we've seen take money. I like the Gamecocks at like 5, but it's sitting at 5.5. So I'm not going to touch it right now, Jim.
Yeah, Arkansas off OT, perhaps a little worn down. Keon Menifield's back home working on academics. He's got a math quiz to prepare for, so he's not in Nashville.
School comes first, kids. It's good.
Yeah.
All right, Jim. How about Providence Creighton? Creighton's laying 8s. Providence, do they keep their hopes alive or not?
they've been so much less of a cockroach than
Yeah.
we give them credit for lately. Jump shooting Jays in a decent shooting environment here. I'm not going to bet against them though, Kai. Providence is not a team that goes quietly, despite some of those poor efforts down the stretch. I think they can, even if they get down, climb back into that one and make it tight late.
Matthew, stay in the Big East. UConn, Xavier. UConn, 15-point favorites. Again, I love UConn. This is really high. Really high.
Yeah, my buddy Jared Smith pointed out to me that UConn at home against Xavier laid 11.5 like 3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago.
Neutral,
Yeah.
it's 15. I mean, they won by 44 or something,
Yeah,
but
okay. Still,
it's an insane line adjustment.
yeah, don't be results-based oriented here. It's a huge line.
But are you betting Xavier, Kai? I'm with you, but I got to the finish line. I did.
Yeah, 15.
I agree. But I think technically you should bet Xavier if you're a by the book handicapper here and you believe in that kind of crap. But I'm just my gut scream now. I faded UConn a couple times the last few weeks and just feels like they're playing to like 105 on my power rating scale in certain spots. And I think Xavier's a team that could crack pretty easily. It's a young team, kind of over their heads this season, really just propped up by good home performances, honestly. I think UConn could smack them.
Could get mashed inside. And to Trevor's point in the chat, like maybe it's not really a neutral. There will be 10,000, 15,000 UConn fans in that building.
Yep.
Man, apologies to. Oh wait, I can read it. Good. I was like, I can't read my writing on this one, but I just remember what it was. Wichita State, and Memphis, Jim, in the American. Your conference.
Wichita State climbed all the way back. I mean, they got down like 15 early against Rice and then flipped it to winning by double digits and sent Scott Pera packing, apparently. I think we get a good Memphis performance in this tournament. I think there's a little bit of rally to them. Penny's been very good in this event in the past. Wichita hasn't. I think they've shifted a little bit their offensive strategy, and they've been a little sharper on that end lately. But I trust Memphis, which is crazy to say. I think they get that done. Not betting them, but I think they win. So I'm not going to grab.
Yeah, Memphis is a large favorite. No, thank you. Also, kind of worth noting: Game 1, 112-86. Game 2, 65-63. So good luck handicapping this total. Yeah.
Quick breaking news per Aaron Bracey. Eric Reynolds shooting jumpers during warmups. Looks like he will play for St. Joe's today.
All right.
Go Spiders.
That's huge. Go Joes. Yeah, go Joes.
Ah.
I thought you took Joe's.
I'm a Spider guy. I'm an itsy bitsy guy. Yeah.
Well, Matt, another SEC for you. We're going to cover like every game. Georgia, Florida. Florida's laying 8. Thoughts?
Love Florida here. Fresh off the announcement of Todd Golden's 2-year extension. Jim does not agree. Yeah, it's a big number. I think Florida just runs them out, though. On the back-to-back. I'm going to be part of the mob, the back-to-back mob. I'm just going to hit it here. I like Florida.
Can they beat Mike White a third time in this year as he tries to beat his old school? I don't know. I don't think you get any rollover from Georgia because of that.
I think that's fair. I just think Florida's just too good.
I took the over in the Florida State-North Carolina game, but Jim, do you have a side opinion? 10.5-point spread for the Heels.
I kind of like Florida State. I was somewhat impressed with them yesterday. The length actually played up a lot better against Virginia Tech than I sort of thought it would. And double digits feels like a decent amount. What we bet Florida State getting, was it like 5.5 at home? And
6, I think. Basically, the game was tied with them. Yeah, right.
Yeah, absolutely should have covered that game. I think their athleticism against UNC's typical athleticism and even forcing iso ball from anybody but RJ Davis is okay. I like FSU.
I think UNC was favored by 12 at home. Another game where FSU was up big most of the way and then almost blew the cover, but I think they still did cover. So the line's about fair, I guess, if you look at it that way, but it still feels big to me.
Matt from Dave, I know you wrote this up for action. The brothers, Miami, Ohio, Akron, Steele versus Gross. The brothers. Your thoughts?
It feels gross to back Gross, as a favorite Jimbo Fisher, but I did lay it with Akron. I think they come out. Wisconsin and Akron, two kind of grimier teams I don't really like. I think they have really good performances today in somewhat favorable spots. If that makes sense.
Miami wins outright.
Wow. Jimmy's so out. I love how out on Akron you are. That's awesome. I hate Akron.
They've been horrible down the stretch. Like horrible.
Their guards stink.
I wanted to look this up, but it doesn't matter. Tulane, North Texas. North Texas -5, 5.5. I'm trying to look up the spread. I think that was about the spread at North Texas earlier this season, and I know Tulane's record is bad. I still think this is a really good team. I think it's a little high. I would lean towards Tulane in that game.
Yeah,
just close.
I think Reuben Jones was out. They've been missing 2 starters there. I don't know Rondell Walker's status, the big time on-ball defender. He matters a lot against perimeter creation-based team.
Kai just closed 2. The game was at Tulane, just for reference.
Well, they played at North Texas, I think, too. Didn't they?
Yeah, I'm just the most recent. I'm with you. I think your point is you like Tulane.
Yeah, I lean Tulane. At North Texas, I thought the spread was around 5, but I could be wrong. Might have been
Sorry,
7.
I'm trying to find it.
Might
Keep
have been
going.
7.
Sorry, I can't. I had too much crap.
And Reuben Jones was out that game. So
yes,
point.
yeah.
Utah State. My gosh, I can't believe Fresno State beat Wyoming yesterday. That's neither here nor there. But yeah, Utah State's laying 12.5. Good luck to Fresno, Jim. Is question mark?
Yeah, Donovan Yap played. He was out for the year with a broken hand, and then just like gutted it out, which I didn't know you could do with a broken hand. And he played really well. And suddenly, like, the MASH unit had one extra important body. But I think this is kind of where it runs out for him. They did get down most of that game, and Utah State's not going to let him back in fresh and rested. I think Utah State wins big.
Yeah, I don't think Fresno's quit, but they're just not good enough. I'm with Jim on that one.
Okay, 2 more, and then best bets. Please hit the like button. The ratio to likes and views are sad. Please hit the like button, guys. Appreciate it. Marist, Niagara. I ended up writing up Niagara for
good for you.
Action. These 2 teams split. It's going to be really close. Niagara just the better offense. They don't make mistakes at all. I lean towards the Purple Eagles there. John Dunn is a very experienced coach, though. Marist is very scary. Definitely a toss-up sort of thing. And then finally, we'll go Matthew, since you went to Indiana. Indiana and Penn State. Trey Galloway maybe not playing today. Penn State's actually laying. Wow. Penn State's laying.
Why is Penn State favored in this game?
Because Galloway's
I agree.
Swept them and no Galloway.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you think?
I like Indiana. I do. I kind of quietly snuck in the back door of the bandwagon again. I'm not all the way in. I'm kind of hanging by an arm off the caboose, but they shouldn't be a dog to Penn State here, Jim, on the back-to-back, right?
I think you talk about how important Galloway is to that team. It's a real problem if he's not out there. So that swings it for me. If he's not playing, I'm not opposed to what this line is. I mean, look, he's not Hunter Dickinson, Kevin McCullough, but we thought that line was crazy, and Cincinnati won by 20. So I don't know.
I agree is important. I think the value of his importance has been a little bit inflated just because he has been playing hurt as it was. So I don't know.
Okay, let's go to best bets. I'm going to kick it to Jim while I find mine.
Okay. All right. I am going with 2 Cincinnati Baylor under 141. Talked myself into it. We mentioned that on the outline. I liked it. I'm actually going to lock that in as a best bet. I think Cincinnati wants to slow it down. I don't think Baylor's in super rush to speed it up. Langston Love being back might be bad for for this under, but I'm still going to stick with it. And then, fellas, I'm going Boston College +5. I like what Earl Grant's got going there. They're playing extremely well in this tournament. I don't fully trust Virginia. The offense, it's going to keep Boston College in the game, likely, for the entire 40 minutes. So +5, BC, the Eagles. That is my second best bet, one we did not talk about yet.
Matthew.
Yeah, I'm going to pull a trigger on Liberty, as I said. Let's go to Juarez. Not scared of you, nor am I scared of my minors. I was a minor guy last year. This year, I just don't think the team has come together. I think you see the same late game turnover, missed free throw inconsistencies while Liberty excels in that area. I like the Flames here. The team that played really well early, just we haven't quite seen consistency from yet. I also like in the exact same tournament, Kai's my second best bet, New Mexico State +6. Jason Hooten. Yeah, Jim doesn't like it now. They're playing a little better lately, Jimbo. Don't look now. I think they
How many
they
of those
rise
good
today.
efforts were at home?
Most of them. Very good point. But Jalen Jackson Posey, if you just isolate the last 5 games when he's actually been healthy and like a normal, useful player, they've been immensely better. So I think that's a pretty good angle of this handicap. And Western Kentucky has not been, other than their like win at La Tech, they've been sort of Jekyll and Hyde road and home as well. So I like the Aggies here.
Okay, I'm going to take an ugly over. Ole Miss, Texas A&M, over 141. That's right. Didn't stutter. That's a pretty scary over, but it is what it is. And I'm going to take another ugly game. Tulsa, +3.5 against East Carolina. Back in the Hurricane, and Eric.
I like both teams.
So Tulsa,
I like
+3.5.
both teams.
Real quick, what's that line? Tulsa -1, Ken Palm. Why is ECU laying 3.5? Is there an injury I don't know about?
I hope not.
I think
confused
ECU's better.
as well.
I actually think the line's about right. But yeah, the KenPom thing actually confused me more than the actual line. I'm confused why KenPom has.
I'm not sure.
I mean,
they are.
it's not his decision. It's obviously his numbers, but still, it did kind of catch me by surprise.
Yeah. Alrighty. That's it.
That's it. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Shout out to chat. A very generous day from the chat. My goodness, Kai, they need us. They want us to get a new mixer, and we will likely have to do that.
It's all that fading the best bet money. Well done, folks. That's chess versus checkers stuff.
Very smart. They're betting Pat's bets in the chat and actually winning money. That sounds fun. All right, that's it. We've got wall-to-wall hours and hours and hours of basketball today, so enjoy it. It's raining in Chicago. I'm going to be bunkered up watching ball all day.
Yeah,
Thank you, everybody. We'll see you back here same time tomorrow, 9 a.m. Central, for another monster slate of conference tournament action. Enjoy. See you then.